Hey guys, hello, it's me. You still remember me? Well, did anyone notice it's been a long time? I bet you didn't. I didn't really miss being visible. Anyway, on the morning of 30th of September, I eloped with myself from Bombay. And since then, I've been completely off the radar. It's extremely unlike me since I've been known to make my sneezes, farts, and miseries and joys quite known on the social media. And since I'm the crown princess of borderline personality disorder, I do that with a lot of poise and aplomb. This is also not really planned. It just I realized today is October 28th, and it's really strange that I'm choosing this day to make an appearance when my mother, Amma, chose the same day to disappear from my world. Anyway, here I am, still not saying where. Not that it matters to you. Till date, no one, almost no one from my family or friends know where I am, which actually is working like a great arrangement. But enough about that. I'm here today to tell a story. Indian mythology, is often mistaken to be religious, which is actually not. It actually uses symbols to explain the larger meanings of life. And what's one such symbol is Goddess Saraswati, which is considered to be the goddess of wisdom. It is said that in 24 hours of the day, there comes a moment, like a slight moment. A moment can be anything, like a time, a count of time, when she sits on your tongue, and anything that you would say will come true. So, what the wise are trying to say is that choose your words carefully, be mindful, be aware of what you say, because you may just, whatever you say, you may just, it may just come true. So, be careful of what you say. So, I've been a traveler for as long as I can remember, and I'm haunted these days of this conversation that occurred several years ago, and I can't really say where exactly it happened, which continent. The continent I know was Europe, but I can't really place a country. Probably some country in East Europe. So strangers we were, and the way it happens in a hostel. I'm always in a backpacker. So we were sitting around a table, having a meal, having a few drinks, smoking cigarettes, and then it came to someone noticed me and they said, "So where are you from, Jaya?" And I just wanted to sound cool and sexy, and I said, I'm from a suitcase." And I didn't realize at the time, but I instantly became very popular, and and I said, "Whoa, that's cool. That's nice," And I said, "I'm going to use that every time." And so every time anybody asked me, "Where are you from, Jay?" and I would say, "I'm from a suitcase," because it got me such a good response. So over the years, I've had several jobs. I've moved cities, countries, had different addresses. I even had a job in the central government of India, with the central government of India, which in India and for majority of the world, and if you know you've had a government job, or your dad or a parent or a sibling or anyone in your family has had it, you will know that it may not be the most exciting job in the world, but it is one of the most secure job that one can have. For me, it was not just for me, but also for my parents. I still remember I got that job on June 8th, 2008. I still remember the date. And then I was given this ID card which had the expiry date of June 7th, 2034. And I said, what a shocker. I hope I'm not even alive by 2034. I would wonder. I mean, for me, it was like too much. Anyway, I went to England to learn hairstyling, which perhaps I think was the only time when I hardly traveled because I was literally hand to mouth. But other than that, I continued traveling the world, and I would do so for months. And each time someone asked me, the answer remained the same: Jaya is from a suitcase. So in 2015, my dad passed away, and then it was just my mum and me. And I, it's unfair to my dad, but I think it was my most pleasant time, probably. Anyway, like I said in the beginning, last year my mum too passed away. What I didn't realize in all these years, and what I have been realizing harshly now, is that I was never from a suitcase. I traveled with a suitcase, but I always had a home to come back to. I just never gave any importance to that home. I guess I had to lose it to learn the importance of it. Earlier, there were the homes that I lived in when I was working in different places, and later, in my mum's last year, I had my mum and our home to come back to. But I always had a home, even though I traveled the world. What I have understood in no uncertain terms, that she, my mum, was my home. She was my emotional home, she was my anchor, and we also shared a physical home in her last years and just before she died. Actually, no, just before she stopped being an earthling and I moved to England. Today, the circumstances are such that I'm literally living out of a suitcase. So I'm going to go back to that moment, the fateful moment of that hour of those, which came in the 24 hours of the day, when that person asked me the question in that hostel somewhere in East Europe: Jaya, where do you come from? At that moment, Goddess Saraswati had taken seat on my tongue. At that moment, I wrote my fate, and I made that suitcase, my home, a reality. Anyway, this is not supposed to be a tearjerker. It was a choice I made. I've also had a lot of fun. I've traveled. But today I've come back from England, and I've come back from England armed with diplomas and certificates in hairstyling, a tad bit 44 and a tad bit homeless and almost bankrupt. And to be living out of a suitcase is not cool anymore. Nope. But like I said, not a tearjerker. It's just the end of part 1. I'm going to be back.